Mediation is a legal option for resolving issues that range from divorce to civil litigation and even medical liability. And with recent budget cuts to the courts, mediation may soon become the quickest and easiest way to solve disputes. Here to talk about the process is Stephen Dinkin, president of the National Conflict Resolution Center, and welcome.
Thank you.
Stephen, what legal matters are best handled in mediation versus, let's say, in a court proceeding?
Most matters can be handled in the mediation process, from personal injury to medical malpractice, construction defect, real estate matters, divorce, community issues, really a whole range of different types of cases.
What sort of things cannot be handled in mediation?
There are certain types of criminal matters, felony charges that might not be appropriate for mediation, or if an individual has mental capacity issues and can't make their own decisions, those types of matters wouldn't be handled in a mediation process.
Walk us through the actual setting of a mediation. Who's there? Who's managing the mediation? How does it work?
Typically, the mediation's held in a boardroom type setting around a table. The mediator is a neutral third party. It could be a retired judge or an attorney. And then often you have the opposing parties and then attorneys who are representing the parties.
And the attorneys are there, and you're able to mediate with an attorney. It just doesn't have to be one-on-one with the mediator, correct?
At times, mediations occur without the attorneys in the room, but attorneys can be in the room and be part of the process, and they play an important role oftentimes in the mediation process.
Well, these days, you were talking about it, that it's often in a boardroom. Do you have to be face-to-face with the opposing party that you're in mediation with, or can you do it via Skype, phone, in a different room? How does that work?
Well, if both parties are in the room, oftentimes they're in two, or in the same office, or in two separate rooms, and so the mediator will shuttle back and forth to the rooms. But nowadays, parties can be on the phone or use other multimedia processes to involve the party in the mediation.
Do you think that's helpful? The reason I ask is because obviously you're in mediation because you can't come to an agreement on something. I'm sure tempers might be a little hot.
I prefer, as a mediator, to have the parties together. Not necessarily in the same room, but where I can meet with them face-to-face as opposed to having them on the phone or by Skyping. Is
the mediated decision legally binding, or if you don't like the settlement results, can you still go to court?
Well, typically when individuals enter into a mediation, it's not binding, so they can walk away from the discussions and the matter at any point. But once they come to a mediation, if both parties agree, then the mediation agreement is binding. It's like a contract that would be recognized in court.
How long does it typically take to resolve a case via mediation versus, let's say, going through court?
It depends upon the complexity of the case. Some cases can be handled in a matter of 3-4 hours. Other cases might take several days to get to a resolution.
And I understand that one difference in mediation is you have some different options as far as what the settlement is. It isn't just monetary.
Exactly. One of the great benefits of mediation is a confidential process. So the confidentiality of the process allows the parties to come up with very unique and innovative resolutions. So they can craft different types of solutions that might not be readily available in a court proceeding.
For instance, do you have some examples?
Well, in an employment matter, for example, it does not necessarily have to be just a monetary decision. At times, an employee might just want a solid recommendation letter, or they might want to be moved into another division, or want more vacation time. So those are the types of, or maybe just basically an apology from the employer. So there's a whole range of different types of solutions that might satisfy both the employee and the employer that goes beyond just a financial agreement.
And that doesn't happen in a courtroom?
Typically not.
Okay. Stephen Dinkin, thank you so much for the update on this.
My pleasure.